Okay, so my name is Blim. Today's video is called Neptune's a Monument to Creation. Okay, so this one's called Neptune Monument to Creation. Okay, so according to evolutionary ideas, Neptune should not exist. What is its secret? So Neptune is one of 9 planets of our solar system. Okay, but we need to stop right there because people are all counting Pluto as a dwarf planet now. I mean, the 9th planet could be. Well, is it Nibiru? Because that would be planet IX, and then planet X would be the 10th planet. Yes, we don't know what that is either. So let's keep reading. An enormous gas giant. It's about 17 times the mass of Earth, but about 58 times its volume. If that's as many problems for those who wish to deny creation, among other things, naturalistic theories see that Neptune shouldn't exist. It's about 30 times as far away from the Sun as Earth. Neptune appears a little more bluish dot and the most powerful telescopes. And the best photographs and measurements of Neptune and its moons have been taken by the Voyager 2 spacecraft, which flew by the planet in August 1989. Many of these measurements greatly surprised evolutionary scientists. The sublime Neptune would be a cold, inactive place, but it is not. Well, yeah, because it's only thousands of years old. If it was billions of years old, it would have been cooled off by now. It's because it's so far away from the sun. Neptune has winds that reach at almost 2,200 kilometers and 1,100 miles per hour. The strongest measured in the solar system, bigger one, shows that 2 large spots thought have been enormous atmospheric storms. The larger one, approximately the same diameter as the Earth, in 1994. The Hubble Space Telescope was pointing at Neptune, which revealed these systems now apparently gone. However, a new one has appeared somewhere on its surface. The Neptune is a dynamic, ever-changing place. And Neptune is nowhere near as cold as evolutionary theory predicts. Instead, it actually generates heat, radiating into space twice as the energy it receives from the sun. This fits the creation model very well as a young Neptune, and it could easily still be cooling off for a few thousand years after its creation. However, this does not fit the evolutionary long age model, as many evolutionists have acknowledged. Overall, with this ranging winds, dynamic atmosphere, and heat generation, Neptune appears quite young. The Voyager expedition measurements the Neptune's magnetic field also upset evolutionary theories. 3 years earlier, Voyager had flown by the planet Uranus, discovering that Uranus's magnetic field is tidal relative to the planet's spin axis and the offset from the planet's center. Both these characteristics contradict the evolutionary dynamo model of the planetary magnetism. But this time, the self-generating mechanism sustaining the magnetic field essentially for long ages, because without some renewal, such fields decay away. It is nothing only a few thousand years. So evolutionists consoled themselves by speculating that perhaps Voyager had caught in the field of magnetic reversal when the magnetic north and south poles switch places. This is very unlikely, necessarily impossible, but then Voyager flew by Neptune discovered that its field had been tilted and offset too. Scientists were forced to concede it seems a possibility of finding 2 planets experiencing magnetic polarity reversals is small. Of course, creationists are not bound to dynamic theories, nor to millions of years. Creationist physicist Dr. Russell Humphreys must predict the magnetic characteristics of Uranus and Neptune before Voyager measured them, with each more success than the evolutionists by assuming based on the Bible. But the planets begin as masses of water. Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 and 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 5 and the creation have roughly 6,000 years ago. Yeah, and it says in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth without form or void. The darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now, 2 Peter 3 verse 5. For this building we are ignorant of. By the word of God, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. We know that the Bible, that Neptune was created on day 4 with the other lights in the heavens. Evolutionary scientists and long-age creationists scoff at this history, believing instead that solar system for an enormous cloud of gas and dust over possibly millions of years, and thus allegedly clumped together into rocks. These rocks clumped together into bigger rocks. Eventually they were enormous rocks, planetesimals, flying around, which stick together to become planets. The gas giants are supposed to have formed at the outer reaches of the solar system because it was cold there for ice to condense, because making the growing planetoid massive enough to attract gas. Unfortunately for evolutionists, Neptune doesn't fit that model. An article in a pro-evolution astronomy magazine explained in this way. His astronomers who modeled the formation of the solar system kept a dirty little secret. Uranus and Neptune doesn't exist. Or at least the computer simulations have never explained how these planets as big as these two gas giants could form so far from the sun. Bodies orbited so slowly in their outer parts of the sun's protoplanetary disk that the slow process of initial accretion would need more time than the age of the solar system bodies, with 14.5 and 17.1 times of the mass of Earth. An evolutionary model. Okay, so let's go here. It says, before we read this part, you see Triton. Neptune's primary moon is a hostile place with volcanic activity and extreme cold. Click for larger view. Yeah, that's the moon called Triton. But let's keep reading. An evolutionary model is a further view from the middle of the cloud. Where is the sun today? Longer than the planet formation procedures. Neptune and Uranus are too far out to have formed this process, even over the supposed 4.5 billion year age given to the solar system. One evolutionist astronomer really comments. What is clear that simple banging together of planetesimals to construct planets takes too long in the remote outer part of our solar system. This time exceeds the age of the solar system. We see Uranus and Neptune. The model's requirement of these planets exist has not been this modeled. How much more time is needed? Another missionary book explains. There have been many attempts to model the evolution of swarm colliding planetesimals. Swarminov calculated the characteristic timescales for planetary growth. The terrestrial region, he found timescales to 10 million years. But the time estimates increased rapidly. Regions of our solar system in was 10 billion years for Neptune, which is just twice the evolutionary age of the solar system. It is clear that in a view of large timescales found for the formation of the outer planets, satisfactory theoretical model, the creation of the planets at diffuse material is not available at present. So even if the solar system really were 4.5 billion years old, as evolutionists believe, we would be still 5.5 billion. Okay, so if the system is really 4.5 billion years old, as evolutionists believe, we would still 5.5 billion years short of this necessary for Uranus and Neptune to have formed by themselves. This is why the Astronomy magazine said that according to evolution, Uranus and Neptune don't exist. So Narvan published these calculations in 1972. So the problem is that have been recognized for these 30 years. Why then they do the textbooks, popular media company proclaim that they know that solar system formed by itself over thousands of millions of years? Should be the fact of the planets don't exist cause some doubt? Of course, creationists are not noticing that it is in this situation. Many evolutionists have been trying to come up with a solution. The astronomy article mentioned above continues as follows. Edward Thomas and Martin Duncan, Queen's University in Ontario. And I think this is talk about Ontario, Canada, because I live in, even though I lived in Ontario, California. And here, Levinson in the Southwest Research Institute in Colorado report as possible way to get around the problem. Maybe Uranus and Neptune, maybe forming closer to the sun, where there is more material to make gas giant planets, timescales are much shorter. The article describes their model, how the planets migrated against the sun's gravity, and their current positions, and quotes the other scientists to explain why it won't work. And it's clear that our level of sophistication of study of planet formation is relatively primitive, concedes Duggan, but he adds, so far been very difficult for everybody to come up with a scenario that exceeds Uranus and Neptune. Here is and here we see the truth of the matter. The ultimate goal is of the evolutionists to come up with a scenario of how the universe formed by itself. Creators, sadly, the children seem to believe, making up of a story process, and that all actually happened that way. It doesn't even have to be a good story. Even each issue of the creation. Let me see. Widely plausible scenarios that evolutionists have accept the order, maintain the belief system. Indeed, that the article has seen that instead of acknowledging the creator, evolutionists would rather cling to a story that denies very objects are supposed to explain. A plague of Voyager spacecraft designed to complete evolutionary belief, informing aliens about us. Click for close-up. Okay. Okay, ultimately, it really doesn't matter if somebody eventually came up with a scenario about the formation or about the formation of Neptune. Our outlook on life should not depend on whether or not someone has been able to make up a good story. For thousands of years, sinful man has been shaking his fists at God and inventing fables about how we got here without a creator. Today, the stories are most sophisticated of about after Baghdad with oppressive seeming computer simulations. But it's really the same thing as before. The gas and dust, a story about as good as evolutionary models, has been various forms for hundreds of years. Hundreds as very intelligent people have worked on various aspects of it. And almost all evolutionary astronomers today believe it. Yet, even through this well proven model pretends to explain the origin of planets, it amazingly enough that it predicts that some of these planets can't exist. Why would we point our faith in these sorts of fables invented by a sinful man? Far better to practice our faith in the living Word of God, the Bible, and its historic accuracy and reliability are above reproach. Okay, so yeah, proves the Bible. And I don't care what they believe. Okay, yeah, the point of evolution is to damn souls to hell. And the point of the flat earth theory is to damn souls to hell as well. The way to go to heaven is to believe on our Lord Jesus Christ. Salvation is by faith alone and grace on Jesus Christ alone. And once you are saved by easy belief into the truth, and you can't lose your salvation. It's the river. And by easy belief that salvation is easy, all you do is just believe it. All you do is just believe in Jesus Christ for salvation. And I'm talking about next video is Beyond Neptune. It's called, and then into my next video it's called what's called Beyond Neptune that supports creation. And I'll talk about that next video. Because go right now. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. So bye.